My Theological Agnosticism on Miracles. The way miracles are described in holy texts is among the subjects of philosophy of religion, which in general studies God-universe relations. The Arabic word used for miracle, mUcize, literally describes leaving someone helpless. The Quran doesn't use this word in today's meaning. In today's daily theological use, miracles describe extraordinary occurrences at the hands of prophets, used to prove their positions and challenge disbelievers. The phenomena we call mUcize, miracle, today are described in the Quran most commonly by the Arabic word ayat. One of the most commonly used words in the Quran, ayat, often describes phenomena in the nature that we witness. Everything that points to the knowledge, power, and intentions of God. Whether these phenomena occur via suspensions of the laws of nature or not is immaterial to the meaning of the word. The only way to proceed on this matter is to interpret the phenomena described in the Quran and contemplate them under the light of philosophical evaluation of the relation between the laws of nature and God's influence. One of the most controversial philosophical questions concerning miracles is whether or not God suspends the laws of nature during their occurrence. There is no direct answer to this question in the Quran. Such discussions fall within the realm of philosophy. Contemporary theist thinkers who think that God would never, not even for a very brief period of time, suspend the laws of nature often defend the theory of evolution as the means God followed in his creation. On the other hand, most of those who think that God sometimes suspends or modifies the laws of nature and thereby intervenes with the universe tend to believe in the independent creation of species. Yet, even supporters of the suspension view have no reason to reject evolution. Even suspension view holders agree that the overwhelming majority of the phenomena in the universe occur within the framework of the laws of nature, without their suspension. Laws, on this view, are God's causal tools. For example, every newborn cat we see has parents and is born of its mother. In other words, every cat is born and lives according to the laws of nature. A Muslim who believes in the suspension view also regards every cat as a creature of God. He might, however, attempt to explain the creation of the very first cat couple with divine intervention, with suspension of the physical laws, even though there is no indication as such in the scriptures. Even if we, for a moment, accept this claim, such an intervention is just one occurrence among billions in the nexus of natural laws. If a Muslim can regard a newborn cat as a creature of God, a process which happens within the nexus of the laws of nature, he or she should not oppose the creation of the first cats via evolution from other species as against creation by God. It is a theological error to deny God's will in lawful processes. According to the suspension view, a minor portion of God's creation occurs through the suspension of natural laws, and a very small portion of humans experience suspensions. Holders of the suspension view, who explain the creation of species by direct divine intervention, hold that the first member of every single species was created not via laws of nature, but through their suspension. However, if we don't know how something was created, we should expect that it happened according to the ordinary functioning of laws, rather than exceptional events. Furthermore, The possibility of an event does not necessitate its occurrence. Thus, the possibility of divine intervention through suspension of the natural laws does not necessitate that species were created instantly. Imagine for a moment that someone has invented a new game like chess. Imagine further that since he is the creator of the game, he reserves the right to modify the rules of the game as he pleases during a game he plays with someone else. Would he be more talented if he were to beat his opponent by modifying the rules in his favor in the middle of the game? Or would he be more talented only if he were to win by abiding the original rules? If God is the creator of the laws of nature, he can suspend them. However, if God's talent is best by creating within the nexus of the laws of nature, we should expect creation to happen this way. While my analogy has limitations, it is fallacious to infer the creation of species via the suspension of laws from the mere possibility for God to suspend the laws of nature. In my other works, I have offered suggestions about how the miracles in the Quran might have occurred within the laws of nature. Of course, those possible models do not mean that those miracles actually happened that way. Whether or not the laws of nature were suspended is a matter of philosophical debate. In order to properly answer the question, does God suspend the laws of nature? We need to perfectly understand the laws of nature. However, we are still far from such a complete understanding. Religious believers can agree that divine intervention can happen with or without the suspension of laws. Whichever position is chosen, the other remains a possibility. A Muslim cannot sensibly claim that God cannot create species by suspending the laws of nature. Nor can a Muslim sensibly claim that God cannot create species without suspending the laws of nature. Both options are possible, and since we lack epistemic access to God's intentions, we should withhold belief about which is actual. The content of the Quran doesn't force us to make a choice. I suggest the adoption of theological agnosticism regarding the matter of miracles. Even first-hand observers of the events we call miracles are unable to explain how they happen. They have, at best, observed a miracle, not how God did it. For example, even if one had directly witnessed Moses divide the sea, one would still not know how it happened. One would know that a miracle happened, not how the miracle happened. One would not have been able to tell whether God divided the sea by suspending the laws of nature or through a natural process. Our limited knowledge of the laws of nature and our inability to penetrate into microscopic aspects of the phenomena we observe render us unable to determine whether or not laws of nature are suspended during miracles. Since no living person witnessed the Prophet's miracles mentioned in the Quran, it is even more difficult to make a judgment on the matter. One who is agnostic about how God performs miracles might philosophically prefer one approach over the other. Such a preference would not pose any religious difficulties. On the other hand, apart from religion, we should be guided by science, philosophy, and intuitions, which together should determine our judgments. One who adopts theological agnosticism on a subject agrees that no conclusion reached from non-religious sources could contradict religion. Moreover, one's theological agnostic stance on this matter has no negative implications on one's Muslim faith. Indeed, such a stance is consistent with the tenet, everything is possible to God.